Hi, folks. God bless you. Love to everybody out there. It's good to be with you. I want to thank everybody for praying for my father. Um, Amazingly, we were told by a doctor that he's going to be on end of life and he was going to pass away. And so I rushed up to the hospital last night. They were not going to take him away from his resuscitation place. They were going to just let him pass away. Anyhow, when I get there, they'd actually moved him because they said they weren't going to move him. They were going to just let him die. Hey, Lewis, God bless you, bro. It's good to see you today. Anyhow, they thanks, bro. They moved him when they said they weren't going to move him. They said he was going to die. They weren't going to resuscitate him. But when we got there, they'd actually moved him. We had a word with the nurse. And the nurse said, "Oh, no. He's not on end of life. We still got to do more tests. And we've moved him and we're trying to do everything to revive him." So it's quite a miracle, really. It's an absolute miracle. So that's everybody's praying. I know Lewis, Jessica, I know Jesse and many others are praying. About 200 of you have been praying and left comments. So just want to thank you for that. If you look at the program, we start Bible teaching at 8 o'clock tonight, at 8 o'clock. And if you look on the YouTube here, you'll see a whole list of things coming up. It's going to be about 5-hour study today. We're going to do sanctification and assurance of salvation, eternal security, election, union with Christ, and quite a few other things. And we'll do maybe some in the morning, possible. So, but this is just a news flash. I want to just explain to you what's going on in the world at the moment and why it is. I don't know if you noticed, but there's constantly articles being read, articles being promoted, even on mainstream media, about sending British troops off to war against Russia. So we've had the head of MI5, we've had some senior officials in the military, we've had politicians, and there's constant articles saying, get ready for war. You've had Germany and France reinstate conscription, meaning bringing in people to join the army. And they're bringing this issue up about conscription in Britain, bringing it up that they want to raise the army up to a higher threshold and send British troops to Russia as a peacekeeping force with France. So I want to just say right off the bat that if you're in the British Army, if you're in the armed forces, I would strongly advise you to come out of the armed forces. If you are thinking of joining the army or armed forces, I would strongly advise you not to join the armed forces at this present time. And I'm going to explain everything why. And I'm delighted that the British Army can't recruit soldiers at the moment. And there's a recruitment crisis all across the military, Navy, Air Force. And I'm delighted about that. And not that I'm not patriotic. I'm all for the British Army. I'm all for these things. But I'm delighted because I don't want our British people, especially the young people, to be thrown into a sausage machine and to be killed for no good reason. And I want to explain this to you. I want to explain what's going on. First of all, the rank hypocrisy that the British government want to send you, your young people, your sons and daughters, off to war against Russia. The hypocrisy of that. Did you know that the British government have allowed investigation and the taking to court of some of our retired SAS military and military. Those who've retired and have done national service for our country, who've done amazing work. I don't know, brother. He keeps talking about Jesus at the moment, so I don't know, Nine. I don't know. But at the moment, he keeps talking about Jesus, so keeps saying he believes in Jesus, so we'll see. Anyhow, let me get back, because I explained at the beginning of the video about my dad. So so the British government, because Starmer is a globalist, and he's into the legal structure of globalism. The British government are allowing an investigation and the taking of court of SAS and other military personnel who are in Ireland. So what that's done is a lot of people don't want to go and join the army because of that. And there's also a lot of people leaving the army because of that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, since Margaret Thatcher, we were able to field tens of thousands of soldiers and ships. When the Falklands were invaded, we were able to send quite a substantial armada to Falklands. When the Gulf War took place, we were able to send quite a substantial 50-odd thousand soldiers to help the Americans. But the investment of the Army, Navy, and Air Force has dwindled, and our armed forces and the Air Force and Navy are not in a fit state to have any war. This is not me saying this. This is all the generals that are saying this. The admirals are saying this. The leaders, the head people in the Air Force, all those who are in the military, all accept that the British Army and the military are not in a fit state to go to war anywhere. They don't have the equipment. They don't have the resources that they had, say, 15 years ago, because of the neglect of the governments in a lack of funding of the British Army. That's a fact. So if you take those two facts, one, taking our soldiers to court and the lack of financing the army, and then they want to send your sons and daughters off to war, is madness. But thanks for asking, Nine. I did go at the beginning of the video about my dad, Nine. So, but thank you. But he keeps talking about Jesus, bro. So those two facts, right? Now let me explain to you what's happening globally. For over 100 years, London, the British with London finance, London was the center of finance. They control the world, and by going to war and causing wars, those wars meant the billionaires, the richer, made more money to keep that cash flow going, right? And what's happened recently is Donald Trump has decided, there's been two reports that they released. One is an economic report, and another one was a security report. These were two major reports that were put out by Donald Trump's people. These reports basically said, with Europe, you need to get your act together. You're losing your cultural identity, and you need to invest in the military. You need to get your act together. You're collapsing. And basically, it was a shot across the bow and said to Europe, we're finished with you if you don't get your act sorted. You're no longer a viable ally the way you're going. And secondly, that was the security paper. And then another paper that was given was an economic paper, and the economic paper is saying we're going to put ordinary people first. We're not going to be in this globalist elite thing where if everything collapses, we prop up the elites. No, we're going to secure everything for America. So what Trump did when Trump went into Venezuela and took Maduro, what that happened is that brought in a new world order. What is the new world order? The new world order is America saying we're just looking after ourselves first. We're not going into this big elite globalist Davos stuff. We're looking after America. So he wants to sort out his hemisphere, South America, Greenland, Canada. He wants to sort that out. Meanwhile, the globalists, what they wanted to do, they want to bring in digital ID. They want to bring in a new world order that way. And part of bringing in digital ID was to break Russia down and take control of Russia, because they have all the minerals and everything. And so they wanted the war with Russia. But what's happened is the globalists have spent so much money in trying to fight that war. The European countries have exhausted themselves financially, militarily. They've got very little power. So the reason why they want to send your sons and daughters over, because they know that when the elections come in the next couple of years in Europe and UK, they know the Labour and the Conservatives are not getting in. They know the Labour and Conservatives are not getting in UK, Germany, everywhere. They know that the globalist hegemony of the uniparties, those of the Conservatives and Labour around Europe, they're just the same. They know they're never going to get in again. It's the right, not far right, but right of right in Germany, in France, and in Holland, and in Britain. People like the Reform Party and other parties like that in the UK, they're going to get the power. So they know they're going to lose power the next election. That's why Starmer in UK has cancelled some mayor elections. He's cancelled local elections, because they know they're never going to be in power for the next 10 to 15 years. So the only way that the globalists can go, the British establishment, the only two ways that they can go, if Trump is saying we're going along, we're going to sort ourselves out, we're going to sort South America out, control Greenland, Canada, so we're safe. Forget you, Europe, you're useless, you're going nowhere, you're destroying your own country with immigration, you're destroying your own country with transgenderism and all that. You've destroyed your own country by this silly war with Russia. You want to do that, we're looking after ourselves. We're looking after it economically, and we're looking after ourselves militarily, and you Europeans, you need to get your act together. So the only way the elites can handle this, the only way is two ways: either another pandemic or a third world war. If there's another pandemic, they can close everybody down. They don't have to have elections. They keep the power. They keep control. They can go with their digital ID and control everybody. But they can't do the pandemic because we've been bitten by it. People don't trust the media. They don't trust the governments. They know they'll never get it through. So we don't hear much about a pandemic. We don't hear much about COVID, because they know if they go down that path, people won't stomach it. So there's only two ways. They can't go the pandemic way. The only other way they can go is a third world war. If they have a third world war, the collapse of Europe in their own eyes can be averted by saying, we've got a third world war with Russia. We don't have to have elections. We can confiscate all your property because we're in a war. We need your assets, and we need digital ID. And then they're back to the globalist hegemony of controlling everybody. That is the only way that they can continue this globalist elitist cabal, is a third world war. And that's why they're telling you your sons and daughters are going to be could be in UK, could be conscripted. And they keep telling us this. These are continually being stated on the news in the UK and in Europe, conscription, get ready, there's going to be a war. They need a third world war as a distraction from the mess that they've made. Britain is more or less on the verge of bankruptcy. Europe's on the verge of bankruptcy. So to keep the cash cow going, they've got to have a third world war. In the meantime, Trump does want to stop the needless killing of people. For all his faults, he does want to stop that. And he does want to put America first. And that has kiboshed the globalist cabal. So when Trump went into Venezuela, okay, was being used by China and Russia, but also being used by the globalists. Vast amounts of money were being poured into voting systems from Venezuela. Venezuela developed the voting system. These are computers that when they do the voting, you can be winning, but the computer can change it so that you're losing. Venezuela financed all that and started companies in America. So when Biden was running against Trump, Venezuela was able to have these companies that were known by the Democrats, financed by the Democrats through Venezuela and these false companies. And they were able to get the false voting system in so that when it came to the voting, Trump won, but the computers switched it. Venezuela was at the heart of that. Venezuela also sent those computers on behalf of the globalists all across Europe and was used in other elections around Europe to falsify elections. Secondly, all the drugs being poured into America from Venezuela was designed to destroy the American way of life. The flooding in of immigrants in the time of Biden was to destroy the American way of life. So that there can be a globalist hegemony, a globalist kind of way of life where we're all on digital ID. And Trump at the moment has put a spanner in the works by saying, no, we're going to have the oil, we're going to control Venezuela and the rest of South America on our watch, and that's the end of it. So what you're seeing at the moment is one of the biggest moves in European history. Europe doesn't have the power that it used to have. For over 500 years, Europe ruled the world. Now Europe is just a backwater. America is on the ascendancy again. Russia is on the ascendancy. China is on the ascendancy. And Europe, run by the globalists, is collapsing. And so the only way the European project and the elites can keep it going is a third world war. And that is my analysis of the global politics. That is by listening to FBI agents, retired FBI agents, retired generals, listening to the far left, far right, right, left, listening to many, many pundits of all different sways. This is my assessment of all that information for you. And so I'm telling you that the British government saying they want to send your daughters off to war is a very callous, very heartless thing that they want to do. It's about saving their own neck. They want to send France and English, British soldiers into Ukraine as a peacekeeping force, knowing full well that it will escalate into a third world war, which will then give them the right to say there are no elections anymore in UK or Europe, and we have to control your bank balances. We have to take your assets because we're in a war, and you've got all these houses and businesses. We need to take them because we need to use them for the war effort. And they keep that going for as long as they can till they get to where they want to go, which when they get to digital IT, they can control you no matter what you do. So that's where it is. So we're in a massive, convulsive time for this year. It's a massive, massive, absolute shake-up of the world. And so I just encourage you, if the British government shame you by saying you are a conscientious objectioner, that you will not join the army, you've been conscripted and you won't join the army, there's no shame. There's no shame in propping up a globalist cabal. There's no shame in rejecting a globalist cabal. A British government that don't want you to fly the British flag, a British government that are taking our British soldiers to court, a British government that will not look after our veterans who are homeless on the floor in various cities and towns. They are homeless, and yet people can come off the boats from France and they can get hotels. A British government that will not look after its veterans that are sleeping rough, homeless, but they will look after people coming off the boats and get a phone and money every week and live in a hotel. A British government that is kiboshing and destroying the farming industry, local businesses. A British government that jails more people for tweets than Russia. This is the government that we have. It's not a democracy anymore. We've slipped into a fascist state, believe it or not. People are frightened to speak their own mind today. You can be at work somewhere and frightened to say what you think, just because you might be called homophobic, Islamophobic, this phobic, that phobic. You're not allowed to say what you feel or think anymore anywhere. It's a culture of fear, and it's a culture of snitching on one another. The government want to pay people to that you will snitch on them concerning their business. Are they paying their taxes? We'll give you a percentage, says the British government, if you tell us what he's been doing or she's been doing wrong. This is pure communist tactics. So when you hear articles where it says, they try to put fear into you and say, hey, Jessica, God bless you. The Bible teachings later, Jessica, at 8 o'clock we start Bible study for about 5 hours. So people need to get pen and paper if you want to join. The Bible studies at 8 o'clock. But all I'm trying to say is, if you're a young person today and the British government call you up to join the armed forces, I strongly advise you not to join the armed forces, because you're not going to be defending Britain. It's different if you're defending your own country. You are going sent on a suicide mission by the globalists to prop their mess up that they've made, and that's why they want to send you. They're not sending you to fight for Britain. If Britain's invaded and they're calling you up to defend, fine. But they're not doing that. They're calling you up. They want to call you up and send you on a suicide mission to Russia and destroy your life for nothing. God bless you, Jessica. So that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to warn young people, even if it's only a handful. I know for a fact that there are British soldiers, 99% of the British soldiers that are in the army right now would agree with me. If you were to do a poll of all the British armed forces and said, do you agree with what he's been saying? I'm telling you, 99% of them would agree what I'm saying. It would only be a few of the high-up officers who were in pay with the elites that would disagree with me, but the junior officers and the rank and file soldiers and sailors and Air Force would all agree with what I've just told you, that if they send you to go and fight, it's a suicide mission. It's nothing to do with defending Britain. It's to prop up the globalist agenda. And you're not to join the army to do that. If they won't let you fly the British flag, if they're taking SAS soldiers to court, men who served our country faithfully, valiantly, are being taken to court right now. And they've retired, they've done their work, and they're being taken to court. And that same government that is allowing that is the same government that wants to send you, your sons and daughters, off to fight. You couldn't make it up if you tried. So I'm going to go. I'm going to do Bible study at 8 o'clock. My father is miraculously, I said again, we were told last night he's going to die. That's the end. Come. So I rushed there last night. We gets into the room. There's about 8 of us there, all sat all round the bed. And he's talking fine. He's having a laugh. They said, we're going to keep him here. He's going to die here. And we're not going to move him from this ward. Guess what? They moved him from the ward. And we asked the nurse, what's going on? We thought you were telling us he was dying. Oh, no, we have to assess him again. And we're putting him on a ward to help him to recover. So, my dad goes to this ward. He's talking as if he's the life and soul of the party. The nurse is baffled. The doctors are baffled. They're all scratching their head. They can't understand it. He is critically ill, but he's defying the odds. And it's all because of people's prayers. It's all because of people's prayers. It's because people have been praying. Because they said the other day, there's no pulse in his feet. Last night, when they put him on the new ward, the doctor went in and said, he's found a pulse in his feet. So that's an answer to prayer, you know. That's people praying. As Jessica says, praise the Lord for answered prayers for your father. That's what it is. It's prayer. So anyhow, I'm going to spend the next couple of hours, I'm going to be on my knees here. I'm going to pray. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll do Bible study. We're doing what we're doing. You'll need pen and paper. We're doing sanctification, assurance, union with Christ, eternal security, election, and then tomorrow, I think Christian fellowship and marriage. If I get to do that, I might be a bit tired. We'll see. All right. Jessica, God bless you. Han, Nine, Susie, Lewis, everyone, God bless you. And I'll see you later at 8 o'clock. And keep close to the Lord, all of you. God bless you. Thanks for your prayers and your support. But I just wanted to do this little video just to make sure that young people are not ashamed. Do not be ashamed. If they try to bring you into the British Army, force you with conscription, and you say no, do not be ashamed. Don't let them shame you. If there were soldiers coming over the border to kill and rape British people, I would join the army. I'm not fit as to be. I would join the army. I said, no problem, I'll join. And I'd encourage you to join, you to defend your country. So I'm not saying it's not, you know, if you feel called to be a soldier and that's what God wants you to do, I'm not saying that's wrong. But what I am saying is, if they're calling you up this time, it's not to defend Britain. It is to go on, save the globalist elite's neck. They are done. Britain's collapsing. Europe's collapsing. The only way they can go to save their necks is two ways: pandemic or World War III. They can't do pandemic because they've done it and we're all aware of it. So the only other option they've got is Third World War. That's what they want. Nine asked me a question about my dad. Is he born again? He keeps talking about Jesus, so I hope he is deep in his heart. He is trusting. But I just want to say, I have a cousin. Is it a nephew? It's my sister's son, Tom. And I've been encouraging him about the Bible. And this is no word of a lie. This is the truth. My dad asked him to pray, so he started reading Psalm 23 out, Tom. He's only like 20, 22, 23. He's only a young guy. As he was reading Psalm 23, my dad's needles that were very, very low for his breathing, it was on like 25 or something like that at that time. And that's very low. It should be up about 90, the needle for his oxygen. And when Tom started to pray, the needle started going up and up and up. It went up to about 40. And then he stopped praying. And then he started praying again. And the needle came down. And then he started praying again. And the needle went up again. Anyhow, I'll see you later. I'll see you at 8 o'clock. And if you've got a pen and paper, there'll be a lot of scripture coming out. I'd say well over 100 scriptures from 8 o'clock till 12 o'clock at night. There'll be hundreds of scriptures coming out. So if you've got a pen and paper, it would help you, because then you can go and look everything up. So if you want to know what's coming tonight, just look at YouTube thing and you'll see a list of stuff that's coming. All right, God bless you and take care, and God bless you all, and thank you for coming.